Wednesday Addams and Enid Sinclair, friends and roommates from Netflix's Wednesday TV show, are pretty opposite to each other, right? As opposite as a fluffy bunny and a carnivorous plant. We have that iconic frame of the stained glass window of their shared bedroom, split in half with each side decorated by one of the girls. Wednesday's side is plain, it's somber and dark, while Enid's is painted in many bright colors. That window is a great visual representation for the dynamic of the girls. They are opposites. That's part of the appeal of their friendship. Enid is very bubbly, sociable, optimistic, colorful. Wednesday is taciturn, antisocial, cynical, wears all black. Their visual contrast is striking and one of the most fun character design choices of the show. Everything that Enid owns is bright, vibrant colors. Even her hair has colorful streaks. Wednesday is, Wednesday, known for her dark braids and for wearing a black and gray school uniform when it's supposed to be purple. Enid smiles a lot. She is romantic. She enjoys dancing and gossip and social media. Wednesday is stoic and rarely ever smiles. She doesn't care about romance and she despises all forms of social contact. So it's very easy to look at them and think that they are opposites of each other, because they are. Of course they are. But I would argue that Nevermore outcast roommates Wednesday and Enid are also a lot more similar than they seem to be at a first glance. They're not two different coins, one bubbly and one stoic. They are two sides of the same coin. Opposite sides, yes, but still similar enough that they are one coin. Or, if you would rather use their bedroom window as a visual metaphor, they are two halves of the same stained glass window. Polar opposites in look and in feel, but still part of the same one window. Their contrasting personalities create a fascinating dynamic between them, where they balance each other out. But I think it's maybe their similarities that forge the strongest bonds between them, creating a tight-knit relationship between the girls that is one of the highlights of the show. So I want to analyze those similarities today. How are Wednesday Addams and Enid Sinclair alike each other? What are their similarities? I tried to pull my hair forward here to create this illusion of bangs, like Wednesday's bangs, because I think it's almost mandatory for any female presenting person with long hair who is making a video about the show to be wearing Wednesday's pigtail braids. So I did the braids, but I don't think the fake bangs are holding up at all. I mean, the flyaways are already all over the place and they keep sliding back. So they will probably not hold up until the end of the video. They will fall apart. Even the braids are kind of falling apart. So it's a good thing that destruction and decay delight me. I enjoy bats too, hence why I have them on my ears in the form of earrings. Look, they're actually my mom's, but aren't they super cute? I love them. But anywho, yeah, I don't think I can keep up the very stoic character for the whole video. So let's go ahead and explore how and why these two characters are actually more similar than they might appear to be. 1. Loyalty. Both Enid and Wednesday are very loyal characters. Once they care about someone, they truly have that person's back. I actually think this is one of their key defining traits, to be honest. Their loyalty is sometimes shown in small day-to-day ways. Like when Enid started dating Ajax and Wednesday threatened to staple gun his heart if he ever broke Enid's heart. Wednesday also visited her friend Eugene while he was in a coma every day. Which, yes, she felt somewhat responsible for him getting hurt, but still, going every day shows a lot of loyalty. On Enid's end, a good example is her throwing Wednesday a birthday party that Wednesday would actually enjoy. Enid took care of doing what her friend would actually enjoy. Or in season 2, Enid insisted that she tag along to the mental health hospital to help with Wednesday's investigation. There was an element of jealousy there and not wanting to be left out when Wednesday was seemingly closer with a new friend, of course, but it also shows Enid's loyalty in helping her friend do something dangerous. Also, Enid being the only one planning to celebrate Thing's birthday was very cute and another display of loyalty to somebody else. Also, the girls often show their loyalty to each other. Like, for example, when both of them chose to still be roommates after initial disagreements and wanting to move out in the beginning. Their loyalty can also be seen by how both of them stand up for what is right. Like in season 1, when Wednesday ends up belittling Thing and really hurting Thing's feelings, Enid stands up for Thing and makes sure that Wednesday apologizes. Apologizing is something that the deadpan protagonist rarely does, but Enid is able to stand up to her and convince her to do it. And thanks to Enid's intervention, the relationship between Wednesday and Thing really mended. In Wednesday's case, a good example of loyalty and standing up for what's right, sorta, is when her brother is being bullied when the show starts, at the very opening of the show, you know, at the normal high school. And then she takes revenge on his bullies by putting piranhas in the water. Nobody can mess with her little brother except for her, okay? And she also shows loyalty to her father when she works to clear his name from murder accusations. Another example is when Wednesday stands up for Rowan, the telekinetic outcast, while he's being belittled in fencing class. Then, when she had a vision that he was going to die, she went after him, like inside a forest, alone, in a kind of a dangerous situation, just to warn him about it. It's not that she's super loyal to him. They didn't really even know each other all that well. They had just met, but she still was loyal enough to a classmate to try to save him. And of course, you can often see the girls' loyalty to each other in beyond the small day-to-day ways too. We see it in a big way in how they go above and beyond to always keep each other safe. Enid wolfed out for the first time to save Wednesday and, attacked the Hyde as an inexperienced wolf. She didn't care in that moment that she would probably die in the fight. She just did it to save Wednesday from being killed. And in season 2, Wednesday is risking overusing her psychic powers to save Enid, even though she knows how dangerous that is. But she needed the visions in order to stop the killer that was endangering Enid, right? So she didn't care about the danger. Both girls will recklessly endanger themselves if it means protecting the people that they love. That's loyalty, and they very much share that trait. Again, it's really one of their defining traits. 2. Outcasts among outcasts. The girls go to school at Nevermore Academy, a school made specifically for so-called outcasts. These outcasts are basically different species, like werewolves, sirens, gorgons, etc. But then there are also some people like the Adams that are like, I'm not sure what they are. Witches on Morticia's side, I would say, but I'm not sure about the other members of the Cookie family, to be honest. So yeah, you would think that Enid and Wednesday would be right at home amongst all these outcasts, right? But not exactly. Wednesday rejects social norms and she doesn't want to fit in with her peers. She avoids them in all school bonding activities, refusing to engage with much of anything. She even wants to run away from the school at the beginning because it's the school that her mom attended in her youth, and Wednesday is very determined to be very different from her mother. So yeah, Wednesday is very much not feeling like she belongs in Nevermore Academy. There's even a line where Rowan tells her that he knows how she feels, an outcast in a school for outcasts. Wednesday prefers solitude and she doesn't care what people think of her. So this self-assuredness that we'll talk more about later makes her be completely detached from the other kids at school. Her uniform is a literal visual representation of that. She is not part of the community that all wears the purple outfit. She stands out, the only one in black and gray, the outcast among the other outcasts. She usually fits in with her family, as macabre as she is, although less so in this particular adaptation, but still she more or less fits in with them, but yeah, not with the school. Enid, initially, again, it's the opposite. For the most part, Enid does fit in socially at school. She's very friendly, very bubbly, something of a social butterfly, very unlike Wednesday. So where Enid is an outcast amongst outcasts is actually with the other werewolves. She's suffering the pressure of very heavy family expectations because she has not been able to transform into a wolf yet in season 1. And her whole family is werewolves, right? It seems like a genetic thing. So her development is delayed. So she feels like she doesn't fit in with her family or with the other wolves. There's the legitimate fear that she will be kicked out of the pack and that she will never find a mate if she can't transform into a wolf soon. So yeah, she's very much on the outside of the family and the pack. So the way that Enid and Wednesday don't fit in are actually very opposite of each other. One fits with her family but not with her peers. The other fits with her peers but not with her family in the Wolf family. They're opposites but they're similar. Again, two sides of the same coin. The feeling of being an outcast is the same despite manifesting in opposite ways, like despite them not fitting in different places from each other. That similar struggle bonds the girls and arguably brings them closer to each other because they can relate to each other and they can be outcasts together and find unity and community with one another. 3. Self-assurance. This video is definitely not long enough to require a wardrobe change, but I really wanted to represent the two girls with their different aesthetics. This is the best I could do for Enid's colorful hair streaks. It's a disaster. I don't even know how this thing was supposed to work, but clearly it didn't work. But anyways, it's just a representation. And I have my little pink hot chocolate with whipped cream, which also reminds me of stuff that she drinks. But anyways, back to their similarities. Both girls are very self-assured and confident in their own way. Wednesday doesn't care about other people's opinions about her. She is very happy with her gloomy personality and she feels no need to change to fit in. She doesn't owe anybody an explanation. I don't think I need to explain this in too much detail, right? It's one of her main aspects as a character, one of her main traits. She is who she is. She doesn't feel any pressure to smile, for example, even though the not smiling could be seen as socially weird. She always has a dark quip to say, and she doesn't hold back even when what she's saying or doing is creeping people out. Another example of Wednesday's confidence in herself is that she will not listen to advice about her novel. She's been working on it for 2 years and she wants to publish it, but she will not do any edits no matter what the publisher or the agent says. We could argue that maybe this is a bit too stubborn, especially for the arts, but it shows that she is unflinchingly confident in her talents. She likes her novel as it is, she knows it's good, and she will not compromise that, even if it means never getting it published. There's something to admire in that, and there are plenty of other examples of her being self-assured on the show. Enid is actually also very self-assured and confident. She has insecurities, many tied to being a late bloomer werewolf, but obviously even confident people have some insecurities. But Enid knows who she is too, just as much as Wednesday knows who she is. Enid will be peppy and enthusiastic about things, even if the person with her isn't giving her the same energy back. She never shrinks her own happiness to fit in or to make herself smaller. She doesn't even let Wednesday's initial complaints pressure her into toning down. At some point, she tells Wednesday that she knows what her bad traits are, but that she's done apologizing for them because they make her who she is. That shows a lot of confidence. And of course, by season 2, she has wolfed out, so she's even more confident in herself now, matching Wednesday's extreme self-assurance even more. Being self-assured also includes confidence in their taste and their style, by the way, because one could say that both girls have quirky tastes. Enid could be considered too much. Colors everywhere, hearts, stuffed animals, so much pink, just an abundance of exuberance and joy. Wednesday is macabre, interested in murder and all manners of gross or gruesome things. And yet, neither of them worry about being judged by their peers for their style and for their unique interests. They're confident in their taste and they do not apologize for who they are. 4. Determination and commitment. They're ambitious, driven, brave, and strong. There's this interview where Jenna Ortega, who plays Wednesday, actually mentions some of the similarities between Wednesday's character and Enid's. She starts out by saying that their friendship works because of their differences, like we've been saying too. And then she adds that they are both quite ambitious and driven, and also slightly psychotic. She also says that Enid and Wednesday respect how strong the other is, which is implying that they are both strong characters. So I decided to add a section dedicated to the similarities highlighted by Jenna herself. The girls are ambitious, driven, and strong. And she mentions that they're true self-assured individuals as well, but I already had that characteristic in my own list, so I kept it in its own section. I also think that both girls are very brave, so I added that here into the same section because honestly I think all of these characteristics kind of overlap to ultimately show that determination and commitment are key personality traits that both of them possess. Usually, if you're ambitious, you're driven. It takes strength to be driven. Usually, if you're brave, you're strong because of your bravery. You know, they overlap. And these girls, they are very committed when they want something. And utter commitment shows all of that. A combination of ambition, drive, bravery, and strength, all combining to make them very determined people. So my examples fit multiples of these traits. Starting with ambition, Enid very badly wants to win the Poe Cup in season 1. She has the ambition for that prize, and she's the team captain, which takes commitment. And we see that she has the drive to win. In season 2, her ambition seems more social. She wants to keep her newfound popularity and she's very driven or determined in her pursuit of it. From overpacking to a camping trip to even asking Wednesday to tone down a little. Enid has a blog, and according to her, it is, and I quote, the #1 source for Nevermore gossip. That's another example of her being driven. It takes a lot of work to be XOXO gossip girl, okay? Commitment. Also, I didn't really think about this connection before, but that means that Enid is a writer too. She's writing non-fiction and gossip while Wednesday is writing a fictional novel, but they're both writers, so I guess here is another similarity between them. Speaking of that, like I said before, Wednesday is writing and wants to publish her novel. We see her ambition in that and her drive and her determination to keep going. Writing a whole novel is a lot. It takes a very committed and a very ambitious person to finish that, a very driven and determined person. Writing takes a lot of determination and consistency. And it also takes, honestly, an emotionally strong and a brave person to want to put their writing out there in the world for everyone to see. Wednesday also plays the cello, which takes different kind of drive and ambition to master. Again, it's commitment, and this time it's commitment to developing and learning a specific craft. Obviously, the girls are very brave in the face of danger, and they have the strength to face that danger in the investigations. That's a very obvious defining trait of Wednesday, because she fearlessly launches into all of these dangerous, different investigations. But Enid displays these traits too. She is right there with Wednesday investigating. I think the murder investigations are also a great example of both of them being very driven. This is really where we see that determination is one of their key defining characteristics, because they don't let anything deter them from what they want to achieve in their personal life and when they're investigating. Wednesday leads the charge on investigations, but Enid helps a lot, especially in season 1, and I'm assuming also in the second half of season 2. And these girls, they don't stop. Even when it's dangerous, they don't back down. They'll sneak into forests, morgues, asylums. They'll knowingly approach and talk to and interrogate dangerous people, all because they are so driven to solve the mystery of these murders and because they're brave enough to do it. Wednesday even crawled under that burning wooden bird to rescue her novel. It takes a lot of strength, bravery, and commitment to do all of that too. The girls are brave to stand up to each other as well. Not just to others and to bad people, but to each other, to a friend. It's hard to stand up to a friend sometimes. Like early in season 1, before they started to get along, Wednesday boldly peels off the colorful stuff from the window that Enid had put up. And then when Enid is playing a pop song and Wednesday tells her to turn it off, Enid bravely stands up for herself and even gets her claws out. These girls are strong. They don't let themselves get intimidated easily. That's what I'm getting at. They don't get intimidated easily and they don't back down easily. If I'm not mistaken, Enid also practices martial arts, right? So there's some physical strength there, while Wednesday is very strong in fencing. And one more thing, both girls have the mental strength to be leaders in their own way. Wednesday leads investigations and schemes. Enid leads social groups and gatherings. But Both of these girls know how to be in charge and how to use their determination to be leaders of others and even how to inspire others. Obviously, what happens in the season 1 finale shows great strength from both of them. Mental, emotional, and physical. They were able to fight a murderous monster, survive, and not fall apart emotionally in the aftermath. I can only imagine the toll that it took on them, especially still being teenagers, but they persevered. So yeah, there are plenty of other examples throughout the show of the girls displaying all of these traits. They might be displayed in different manners between the two of them, manners that highlight the girls' differences, but the traits being displayed are the same. Once again, there are similarities between them. 5. Struggles with family identities, but then embracing family heritage. Enid and Wednesday face similar family issues throughout the show. There's your more surface level teenagers that are embarrassed by their parents that we see both of them experience during Parents' Day, for example, when all the parents get to visit Nevermore Academy for picnics and stuff. I think Wednesday being embarrassed is actually a little out of character, but nevertheless, both girls are experiencing something similar here. But they also struggle with the notion of being part of their family while holding on to their own uniqueness. Enid's parents constantly compare her to her many brothers, making her feel inadequate and like she's not a proper werewolf. They even threaten to send her to werewolf camp to see if that will make her transform into a wolf for the first time, right? Because Enid is a late bloomer. So they're putting a lot of pressure on her about this, just because her timing to wolf out has been different than the timing of her brothers. Wednesday understands that kind of family pressure. She spends a lot of season 1 talking about how her mother wants Wednesday to be a new version of her, and Wednesday is refusing to be anything like her mother. She very much wants to be her own person. She threatens to run away from school because she thinks she's being sent there to turn her into a mini Morticia, and she makes it clear that she'll never be a housewife like Morticia is. I'll be honest, I didn't really see Wednesday's parents actually pushing her to be a copy of them, but regardless, that's how she feels about the situation. So both she and Enid are being pressured, or at least feeling pressured, to be just like the rest of their families. But they either can't be or they don't want to be. And this is the kind of turmoil that can bond the girls. When Enid's family tries to send her away to werewolf camp, she actually stands up to them and demands that they accept her and respect her regardless of when or even if she ever transforms into a werewolf. She's finally at a point where she doesn't care what they think of her. Again, becoming more self-assured than ever before. Similarly, Wednesday stands up against becoming like her mother by constantly doing her own thing in the way that she wants to do. Both the Addams and the Sinclair families have to accept that their daughters are unique individuals who are assured in themselves enough to do their own thing. But of course, in the end, Enid does wolf out, so she ends up being able to embrace her family heritage, and she finds a pack in season 2, right? But Wednesday actually embraces her own family heritage too. In the pilot episode, her mom had given her a necklace with a spiritual connection to their ancestors and their culture, saying that that was a symbol between mother and daughter. Wednesday is initially not super receptive to it, but by episode 6, she actually uses the necklace as a talisman that allows her to contact her ancestors' spirit in a seance. So this is symbolic of her accepting the psychic heritage that she shares with her mother, and also of her accepting their connection a bit more, that it's okay that she has this similarity with her mom. She's okay being like her mom in this aspect. So basically, both Enid and Wednesday had similar journeys surrounding family issues and acceptance and joining their heritage. 6. They grow together. I think another important thing that Enid and Wednesday share is the fact that they grow together throughout their first year at Nevermore Academy. There is individual, independent growth, of course, but in many ways they grow because of each other too. Enid was already self-assured in many ways, but she becomes even more confident in herself and stops being so insecure about her werewolfness. I'm sure that seeing Wednesday be so unapologetically herself helped Enid be a little more like her friend, growing to become a more confident person. Wednesday is also extremely independent, and I think that that inspired Enid to trust in herself and in her own abilities a bit more, to become a little more independent too. And Wednesday starts to value human connections a bit more, thanks to having Enid in her life. Enid warmed her way into Wednesday's heart, which in turn made Wednesday learn to open up a bit more, made her realize that not all people are gonna be bad for you, and sometimes it's nice to have a friend. Wednesday hated any type of community or social life before. She was very solitary by choice. But Enid's non-judgmental company and unrelenting peppy support helped Wednesday finally trust someone. That was a big step for Wednesday, and probably the first friend outside of the family that she's ever really had or fully trusted. Even early on, we can see her try to comfort Enid when Enid is lamenting that she can't turn into a wolf yet. Enid is a supportive and accepting friend, and that gives Wednesday enough space and comfort to become close to her. Wednesday grows because she learns to care for somebody else, and she sees that it is important to have a good friend that you can be vulnerable with. The fact that they are growing at the same time, taking a little piece of the other within themselves, is also a factor that bonds them. And this is like, it happens because they're opposites and because they're similar. They are taking inspiration from their friends' opposite traits, right? Like Enid taking a little bit of Wednesday's independence, and Wednesday taking a little bit of Enid's openness. And at the same time, they are growing to become a little more similar because now they're sharing traits a little bit more. So the act in and of itself of growing together is a similarity between them. And they become more alike each other by learning from each other's opposing traits. It's a really beautiful way for the writing to make them grow. We even have Wednesday tell Enid that the mark that Enid left on her is indelible, to which Enid responds by saying that she'll miss Wednesday when she leaves. And obviously this all culminates in the final episode of season 1, when we see the full evolution of their character arcs and we see all of this growth depicted in front of us in a very clear manner. They're in this fight against the Hyde, the murderous monster, and Enid is finally able to wolf out. The adrenaline of the situation, the trigger of seeing Wednesday in danger, and her newfound confidence in herself allowed her to finally transform into a werewolf for the first time. And then she wasted no time fighting the Hyde to defend her friend, even though he could have easily killed her. Again, displaying great bravery and strength and drive. Just like Wednesday is displaying too by trying to stop the Hyde. At the end of this harrowing ordeal, Enid hugs Wednesday, which she had done before and Wednesday didn't hug back. But this time, for the very first time, Wednesday hugs her back. Hesitantly at first, and then very, very tightly. Because she has finally learned to open up a bit and to let a friend in, she is able to be vulnerable enough to hug back. That is huge growth for Wednesday. Honestly, it's a really amazing scene, really beautiful scene, wrapping up their arc of growing together for that season. But of course, they're teenagers and there's more growth to be done in season 3 and beyond, but you get the idea. 7. Adam's family affairs and final thoughts. Wednesday and Enid are, in my opinion, the most important relationship explored on the show. It's through that friendship that we see Wednesday's growth. It's how she begins to open up a little bit more, to be a little more sociable. It's how we see her hug a friend for the first time. I think the show is pretty fun, but I don't think the show is that good in terms of the Addams family and their relationship. They're such an iconic family with so many years of strong stories and lore behind them, but on this particular iteration, their relationship falls a little flat. I've personally never been an Addams fan, so I can't speak too much on it because I don't know them in detail. But I remember watching the cartoon when I was little, and I know that I've watched the movie at some point too. And even I, in my limited knowledge and memories, felt that the family bonds were much, much stronger in all the previous adaptations. The whole point of the Addams Family is that they're such a close family. And while, yeah, they're creepy and spooky, they really accept not only each other, but everyone, right? The whole point of the Addams Family, every version up until now, is that although they look freaky and have dark and murderous interests, they're the kind and nice and accepting ones. Meanwhile, the cookie cutter suburbanites are the mean and judgmental and unkind people. That's the joke of the satire that started the Addams Family with the comics. The Addams are supposed to be tight-knit and non-judgmental, and I don't really get that vibe from them in the Netflix adaptation. And it's like, okay, Wednesday is a teenager now, but not every teenage girl needs to be cutting and sharp towards her parents. If any teen should still be close with them rather than being like stereotypically angsty, it should be Wednesday. And sometimes her parents do not seem proud enough of the macabre things that she does, like they would be in all previous adaptations. I think they would have appreciated her piranha pool revenge in season 1, to be honest. And I don't think she would have been surprised or displeased to learn that her father might have murdered someone. I don't know, it just feels like the true Addams Family spirit of unity is sort of missing from this version of them. So since the Addams bond feels like it's diluted, if not outright missing from the show, the Enid and Wednesday relationship fills that void, and that's why I'm bringing that up. Enid and Wednesday, they're the non-judgmental, tight-knit bond this time around, because that bond is missing from the family unit. We see much more of them than the Addams in season 1, and season 2 revolves around Wednesday protecting Enid. And I know there's a very vocal and I guess large, I don't know how big it is, but probably large enough, group that also ships the girls together in a romantic sense. And I can completely understand why they see romantic potential between them. I'm personally more of a Wednesday and Enid friendship enjoyer, but I can recognize what people saw in them. But my point is, whether you read their relationship as platonic or romantic, their bond is very strong. It's arguably the strongest that we see in the show. Because I mean, Morticia and Gomez's bond is stronger, I'm sure, but we don't really explore that on the show. So I mean, out of the bonds and relationships that we see a lot of. And in my opinion, this bond would not hold up if the girls were purely opposites. Yes, opposites are fun. The show does get to play with the fun side of how opposite they really are. Like when Wednesday gifts Enid a creepy doll taken from a serial killer. That's really not poor Enid's vibe. Or like when Enid tries to convince Wednesday to expand her social circle by attending a dance or camping or takes her shopping for a dress. Yes, it's really nice to have such a bubbly, joyful, girly character, except Wednesday, while pulling her a little bit out of her comfort zone. The fact that they are polar opposites makes this possible and makes all of their development very endearing, because they do balance each other out, and that makes both of them explore new sides of their own personality, kind of a little bit inspired by their opposite friend. But if the girls were just opposites with no common ground or similarities linking them and strengthening their bonds, I think the relationship would become tiresome at some point. Not for us, the audience, but like for them as people living their lives. They wouldn't be able to be such close friends if there was no common ground at all between them. But there is common ground, and that is my whole point. Despite all of their very noticeable differences, there is common ground between the girls. And this common ground is, you know, what makes them be two sides of the same coin. The coin is their common ground, if you will. Wednesday and Enid respect each other's differences and uniqueness. They complement each other, like Enid is the ray of sunshine and Wednesday is the dark cloud. And they don't pressure each other to change. So again, there is value in writing these characters as polar opposites. The contrast between them allows for a beautiful friendship to develop. They balance each other out by possessing qualities that the other person lacks, and that can help both of them grow in different ways. But they can also connect on a deeper level by bonding over all of these similarities that we have discussed. They respect the other person's strength, drive, self-assurance, etc. because they possess these traits in themselves too. As season 2 continues, and I actually think it comes out, the second half of season 2 comes out today as I am filming this. Maybe I should have waited. But as it continues, we may of course see moments where they have new struggles with these old topics, such as confidence or fitting in. Enid avoiding Ajax instead of breaking up with him, for example. You would think that she would be confident enough to face him head on by now, but she may be regressing a little. Wednesday, in the name of protecting Enid, is opening up less and less again. A TV show is a progression, but is also sometimes a cycle, right? So these themes will continue to happen and be explored in different ways, and sometimes that involves some regressions. But the similarities between these two opposite characters are impossible to deny. They are two halves of the same stained glass window. So, if this video warmed the cold chambers of your empty heart, leave it a like. And smash the subscribe button like you would smash your hammer on a nail when you're building your rack for two. That way you can see more of my woefully inspired takes, analyses, and video essays in the future.